Hi everybody. This is a quick video that very thankfully the team from Horse Connection at Collicott Farm have agreed for us to use them as an example of how to do this. We're going to run through how I'd recommend handling if you're getting a phone inquiry for, say, some sort of tourist trek, for example, that are coming to visit your property, and say you're dealing with them on the phone or on the email, and you don't want to necessarily have to tell them to go and set up an account, but you want to just get the booking done in one fell swoop. This can be a handy way of kind of getting it done. So let me just show you what I've often done and did back in my own stables back at home. So first of all, here's their main page, as you'll all recognize something similar for your own stables. If you just go to events, and I'm just going to jump forward in time here to something far into the future. We've got no client details showing up. So we're going to pick a date here. And just at random, I'm going to say that, let's say some people had inquired to come for a trek on the 15th of October. So they want to come at 10 o'clock and they're going to come, let's just put it in here. So private trek. Okay, I'm going to put that down under hacking. I'm not going to worry too much about description here yet, and I'll show you why in a second. But let's say that we're saying this is going to be 2 hours long. Okay, it's not going to recur because it's just a one-off, and we're going to price for this 2 hours. We're going to say that it's £100 per person for this particular trek. And let's say there's 4 people coming all together. As you know, I'm going to put in stricter conditions here because obviously it's a really valuable booking and I don't want them to cancel at the last minute. So I'm then going to put in here that you don't need to worry so much about putting this particular one on a calendar, because this is kind of something we're setting up between us and the client. Now I've created a specific tag here. Let me just find what I've named. So basically a private booking. Okay, so a private booking, just as a reminder, I always recommend using gray for defining like a client type and colors for defining the credit type. So this is slightly different. It's a private booking. We're not really going to have a situation where someone's coming to cancel out of this and back in again. So you could also put it as non-refundable, but depending on what you want to show up to the client. But I'm going to have this switched to private. So this is a tag that I'm not actually giving to any rider account, so nobody will actually be able to see the details of this apart from the client that I'm about to book into it by clicking this red like that. That will allow me to then put in details of height and weight and experience level of the other riders, because I'm only going to ask the main person who's paying to set up their account, and I'll get the ball rolling for them. Then I'm going to put the others in as guests, and then I'm just going to ask that lead client to give us the details of the other client. So I might put in, say, Sally is 5'4", and maybe she is 9 stone, and experienced XC rider, for example. That type of thing. And I could just put that down for Mary, something similar, and so on and so on and so on. So I can put those details in. And because this is hidden, nobody else can see this apart from your staff, basically. So that's good. So I'm just going to create this event to start with. Okay. Adding that in. And so that you can see that now exists. Now, what I do is I would go in here, and when you always go back in, there's the 2 tabs. So edits where you set it up or change it. Attendees is where you start adding on who's coming. So I'm going to add the client to the course. Now, if it were somebody who you already knew and who's already a client of yours, you could just literally pick somebody from a list. But I'm going to go ahead here and basically just, create a new client. So let's say it was John Smith is the lead passenger. And I'm going to give a making up email address here, so hopefully it doesn't arrive on anybody's. So let's say Smithy Bad Writer 2004 at gmail.com. I think it'll be surprising if anybody has that particular email address. So let's just use that one. Again, just copy that here and paste it in here. And I'm going to add them in. Now this is going to be, I'm going to book that person in, even though they're still only a provisional client here, which always shows up with that little chess piece icon. I can still continue, and I can still make a payment plan. So obviously now it's 100, but we were saying there's 4 riders coming, so I'm going to bill them for 400, all to the lead passenger. Okay, so that's going to generate an invoice that's going to go straight out to and I'm going to say, yeah, they have to pay for it. I could pick tomorrow's date or whatever date I want. So depending, or you could just say maybe a week or 2 in advance of them actually riding, and confirm, add the client to the lesson, and that's put them in and sent an invoice out to the client. It'll show there in red and white striping to remind you that they haven't actually paid yet. Now what I do to populate the other, you're obviously going to need to allocate horses to these people. So what I'm going to do here is just literally, I've already created some of these, but if you see here, I've got guest one. I can keep going, guest two. And just so you can see how I did this, you can add a new client, you can put in guest and then whatever number here. These are literally just dummy accounts that allows me to allocate horses to riders, so it can be quite handy. But let me just put in guest three here as well. And that's all the space is filled up. So I continue and I can just add those without payment and then done. So now I've got my 4 riders basically for I can assign the horses to when the time comes later on. So perfect. I've got everything there that I need. I'll be able to see when that client is paid. And yeah, that's just a handy way of being able to kind of book in somebody who's like, if they're on the phone with you at the time, it's great for getting payments in nice and quickly because when people see this, they're a lot more comfortable about paying rather than giving their credit card details over the phone, especially if you've got foreign tourists coming across or something like that. So yeah, hope you find this tip helpful. Bye.